Let me tell you guys, I'm almost 42 years old and I have never been loved like that. It wasn't about the grand gestures. It was about the comfort, the easy intimacy, that wonderfully silly friendship between us. Let me not lie to you, we've gossiped about most of you people in this room. We have gossiped you.
You can see like that.
Is this thing on? I would have memorized this, but I'm not an actor. Not even, I'm not Charlie. Charlie would have needed 10 minutes with this. I promise you it's short. It's 1.5 space and a page and a half, so it's not gonna go on too long. But man, Charlie would have loved this. Actually, scratch that. He loves this. Because I believe in my whole heart that he's here with us. So baby, I hope I do you proud. This isn't how I envision Valentine's Day.
Oh God.
We definitely want him to go all grand, which has meant that couple. We probably be home, either his house or mine. He'll make one of his elite sandwiches. Has anyone here had one of Charlie's sandwiches? My goodness, I think he put crack in those things. Anyone who's ever tasted his sandwiches can attest to this. Then he'd make me an incredibly strong cocktail, to marinate me. And then I'd probably force him to watch The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Yes, I did that to him, which he'd grumble about, but become weirdly invested in by the end. He knew all those women by the time I was done with him. But instead of that, I'm standing up here honoring this man, and it still doesn't feel real. You see, Charlie was a true artist. He appreciated every form of art, whether it was highbrow, esoteric film, or trashy reality TV, and everything in between. He was not a snob, not by any stretch of the imagination. He looked at art with a sort of childlike wonder, an opportunity to learn. Thanks to him, I gained a deeper appreciation of the creative arts. Watching every film became an education for me. He'd point out the storyline, the quality of the writing, plot holes, the difference between average directing and the work of a true visionary, and above all, great acting, because that was what Charlie was, a great actor. Until even sometimes I'm like, hey babes, just watch the movie. Like, not everything has to be a class. But that's what Charlie was. He was a visionary. The way he saw the world was just beautiful to witness. And he never wanted to gatekeep his knowledge. Charlie was a vessel that constantly poured into others. He gave of his time and expertise so selflessly. There are times I'd overhear him on the phone, sometimes promising to do some work for someone. And at the end of that phone call, I'd be like, well, I hope they're paying you. And more often than not, he'd not even gotten to that point of the conversation. He just volunteered anyway. Now, the first time I ever saw Charlie on stage was several years ago when he was still at St. Mary's. I just finished high school, and my goodness, I thought he was so fine. Wow, with that smile of his that lit up the stage. If anyone told me that 20 plus years later, this luminous, effervescent man would ask me to marry him, I would have laughed you out of the room. You see, this love story of ours took me by surprise. When Charlie and I reconnected after I came back from New York, I wasn't really looking. I just lost my dad the year before and was still trying to navigate the enormity of that loss. So he and I began a friendship that later had some benefits. Tulisema tunasema ukweli. But, after a while, it was clear that there was something between us that was completely undeniable. So I fought it. Then when I accepted it, now it was his turn to fight it. But there was this almost cosmic pull between us. Let me tell you guys, I'm almost 42 years old and I have never been loved like that. It wasn't about the grand gestures. It was about the comfort, the easy intimacy, that wonderfully silly friendship between us. Let me not lie to you, we've gossiped about most of you people in this room. We have gossiped you. And that was the absolute safety. Charlie saw me, and I mean he truly saw me. It was such a big, beautiful love.
Oh God.
The night he asked me to marry him, we were on his couch and was wearing torn leggings and one of his t-shirts. And he got down on one knee and I cried, and to date, that is the most beautiful night of my life. There's so many people here that Charlie thought so highly of. I'll start with his lifelong best friend, his sister Liz, who he called Lizard. Liz, he loved you so much, and he used to say, Liz is the best of all of us. And he meant every word. Then there's Christian. I don't know if Christian is here. Well, he's not here, he's back at home. And he was the best man at Christian's wedding. Then there was his frequent collaborator, business partner and friend, Nice Kidenji. Give it up for Nice. There was Nokabi Masharia. There's Silas freaking Miami. Like, stop hiding, we see you. And then, of course, there's Konsura, who was his creative muse, who's watching right now in Bali. Daniel Napolitano, he talked about you guys all the time. You've had John Carbone's comment being read. That was a really good friend of Charlie's. He'd call him Bones. He thought so highly of you. It was to start naming names. We'd be here all night. That's how big this man's heart was. The outpouring of love and support since Charlie's transition has been awe-inspiring. To everyone who has called, texted, checked on us, sat with us, and contributed their time, their money, their expertise, there are no words. Just thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, my love, I speak to you. Thank you for showing me what true love really was. Thank you for being the perfect example of a gentleman and a real man. Thank you for being the kindest man I have ever known. Thank you for taking care of me. It is a privilege and honor of my life to have loved and be loved by you. Charlie, I will miss you until I join you. Thank you.
And now, for everybody in the house now, for everybody watching, for everybody that loved Charlie, for everyone that was touched by his light, let us have a moment of silence in honor of Charlie J. Ouda. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone.
I'd like to call onto the stage Angie and Carol, Coach.
Thanks, Pat and Mugash, who've been doing a wonderful job. Thank you, Baraza Media Lab, for hosting this. It's very special, it means a lot to all of us, I'm sure. And I'm honored to be up here with Coach who, yeah, as her name suggests, has coached all of us. When I was asked to do this, I started to think, this can't just be my words. It needs to include the words of other people, other friends, actors, crew members, collaborators, people who together we've known Charlie, I don't know since when. And a lot of people came back to me and said, AJ, it's hard. I don't know what to say. Angie, it's heavy. I don't know what to say. And some people did send in some messages, which I would like to convey here. I will try to keep it as short as possible. But I want to start by saying, that when we lose someone who's dear to us, we can't help but find ourselves reaching back to the beginning, kind of hoping to reclaim some of those moments. You know, like re-watching your favorite movie, clinging to every line of dialogue, wanting to kind of experience those moments as if for the first time again, but you obviously memory doesn't work like that. Recently, I've been struggling to recall how our paths first crossed, and for the life of me, I can't. Or was it Phoenix Players? Was it Makutano Junction? Was it National Theatre? I don't remember. I literally don't. I envy those of you who do. I can't seem to piece it together. To me, Charlie simply appeared one day. One moment I was oblivious to his existence, and then in the blink of an eye, he was like, you know, one of those scene-stealing characters. He suddenly became a series regular in the narrative of my life. It's weird. He's a writer, so he'll appreciate this dialogue, this analogy. I don't know, man. If only I could rewind this movie, maybe I could unravel the mystery, but unfortunately, don't worry, homie, this is not going to be an account of our misspent 20s. Those moments I will hold on to jealously and steadfastly. I have a message from Charlie's co-star Wanja, who Thump talked about earlier. Or if you don't know, Thump is David Campbell. We very endearingly called him Thump. Wanja recounted to me how she first met Charlie. They met at the audition for Makutano Junction. And they were looking for this young couple. And Wanja's character was meant to be a great singer. Unfortunately, Wanja describes herself as just an okay singer who on a good day can carry a few notes. But then as they walked into the audition, as they were getting ready for the audition because they were paired to audition together, Charlie said to her, Charlie suggested many songs, and she was like, I know 2 lines from maybe one of those songs. Me, I don't know these songs. And then as they were walking in, he suggested, okay, so Cheki, this is what we're going to do. I'll start the song, you chime in on the lines you know, and then when I'm singing, you can ad-lib as much as possible. Nobody will be able to tell. The rest, as you know, is history. Those two performed on that show for nearly, I think, 8 seasons. That show catapulted both of them to great heights. And Wanja is heartbroken. She badly wanted to be here, but couldn't. Charlie had a knack for just suddenly becoming important in your life. He became the person to turn to for a kind word, a smile on your face when you needed it, a well-timed gesture that made your day better in even just a small way. Damaris Irungu, who was also a writer on Makutano Junction, told me a story from their time in the writer's room about how she once made a throwaway comment that no man had ever given her flowers. And the next morning, Charlie appeared with a massive bouquet for her that he'd probably had to carry around in a jar from Loresho to Karen, for no other reason than just to put a smile on a colleague's face. That's just how he lived. Colleagues became family, and family was very often colleagues, just ask Liz. Makbul Muhammad, he's an actor and a radio presenter. Makbul struggled with this, but sent me this message today saying, Charlie was my little brother. He was famous 5, if you know, you know. He's never not been there. When I was at my lowest in 2017, he was thousands of miles away and struggling through life in New York himself, but he checked in consistently, incessantly, even when all he could offer was words of comfort. Those words meant more to me than I can say. Rest in power, baby bro. This is the man I want to remember, the one who shared himself so openly with us, who mentored, who cared for, supported, and courageously leaped with us. The one who didn't shy away from leading, the one who embodied every character he played and approached them all with respect, with empathy, and with heart-stopping honesty. Charlie, you were never more honest than when you were on stage. In the words of your favorite on-screen hero, Optimus Prime, when the account of the ages is etched into the cosmos, let those who exist long after us know that this was our finest hour. That was an especially brief third act, homie, but it's a print, no notes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Angie. That was very touching. I just want to talk a little bit about Charlie in terms of the journey he has had and how he handled his work. I had the privilege of working with Charlie on his last project, which was Salem. I was one of the directors. We had a rap party with him on the night that he left us. When I look at Charlie's journey all the way from Makutano Junction, No Zone, all the stuff he has done, right up to Salem, I am just awed by how much this guy had done. And the first thing that comes to me is humility. That Charlie was such a humble person. A lot of us, if we had as much skill and creativity as Charlie had, the whole world would know. But he never shouted about it. You really had to dig deep to find out what Charlie was about. When I watched him on the Salem set, I was so amazed because I was a bit apprehensive. This was my first time working with Charlie. I had never worked with him. I've worked with so many actors, but Charlie I had never worked with. So I was a little bit apprehensive. I was like, oh my God, this guy, he's got so much experience, he's done so much. Will I live up to his expectations? But I met a very humble, down-to-earth, professional person. And it was so impressive. And, I observed how he related with all the other actors. When they're in a scene together, he has to make sure his scene partner is as prepared as he is. And, I look at that and I'm like, how selfless you get. He's preparing for a scene. He wants his space. Do not intrude in his space. Very professional. But then, when we call cut, you meet the goofy Charlie. The one who is twerking and sagging his trousers and has the biggest laugh and the biggest smile in the room, and you're wondering, what? Who is this character? And then you listen to him speaking to the actors. One of the young actors, when the Kingori mentioned to me the other day, Charlie was such a mentor. He kept asking me, what have you done before? What are you planning? What do you want to do after this? And he had personal relationships with each and every person in such different ways. One person will tell you we were discussing a project. The other one will say, I just mentioned that I like this kind of cake, and the next day he brought the cake on set. Yeah, and somebody else would mention something. Everything was so diverse, but he had such a personal relationship with each and every person. And out of these conversations, what came through to me is that Charlie had so many projects he was planning for. There were countless projects. I've heard about a project for kids. I've heard about scripts that he had written. He had conversations with people about TV series that were going to do. There was a stage play that was going to be amazing. And I think him having left us so abruptly, the onus is on us, isn't it? As an industry to carry through what he started. And we know ourselves, the people who've had conversations with him. Koi Ndirangu, Jackie Matubia, Nick Ndeda. You know, we've all had conversations with him about projects that he wanted to do, but he was not able to finish. And I hope that we can finish these projects on his behalf and keep his legacy going, because Charlie was a selfless, loving, and very, very humble human being. I just want to leave you with something small about what we are all going through, and I'm sure we've all experienced this. There's so much pain of losing such a dear person so quickly, so suddenly like that. What do we do with the pain? Where do we take this pain? And I think it came to me the other day. I got people who sent these Bible verses. And I read one just the other day and I said, oh my God, this has just come in the nick of time. Because it said, we learn from each other's pain. So we have all experienced pain at various points in our lives. We share what we have experienced, and we learn from each other on how we navigate pain. But there is always a lesson to be learned through pain. And I want to ask each one of us to just think about what lesson Charlie has left with us after giving us so much in life, and then the pain that we're going through now. Rest well, my brother Charlie. Thank you.
Thank you very much.